Welcome back for another thrilling weekend for the BRSCC Mazda SuperCup. You join me here in the gorgeous countryside of Cheshire at Oulton Park. Coming into this weekend, we see Luke Herbert and Jack Harding joint first position in the standings. It's practically unheard of for this championship. Luke Herbert, as we all know, is the 2017 championship winner, and he's determined to retain his championship winning this year. However, first blood this weekend goes to Jack Harding, putting it on pole not just for race 1, but for race 2. So we're going to jump straight into all the action and hand it over to Andy McEwan.
Yeah, thanks, Lyndsay. Well, the championship could not be more finely balanced, and it's Jack Harding and Luke Herbert who share the front row of the grid for what should be a cracking race. Aidan Hills and James Blake Baldwin make up row 2, ahead of Johnny Greensmith and Simon Baldwin. Carl Garnett and Will Stacey on row 4 with Gary Townsend and James Harris rounding out the top 10. Then it's Will Stevenson and James Kell, Christian White and Colin Bysouth, with Nick Dunn and Sam Tatler next in line. Then it's Alec Livesley and Tom Parker. Row 10 for Bradley Kent and George Grant, ahead of Darren Stapleton, Nick Rutter, Mark Swarbrick and Duncan Harris to round out the 24-car grid. So, tied on points, sharing the front row of the grid together, and with James Blake Baldwin's exclusion from last time out at Castle Combe, it is a two-horse race for the title as the lights go away. The grid launches down towards Old Hall Corner for the first time, and it's Luke Herbert who has his nose in front down towards Old Hall Corner and takes the race lead, and that was a decisive move across the nose of his big championship rival to take the lead into turn number 1. A couple of cars running wide further back, one of which was Colin Bysouth, who was way out into the weeds, but should be able to rejoin in the mid-pack. So it's Herbert from Harding from Hills, the top 3, the 3 H's at the front of the field as they make their way through Cascades for the first time. Johnny Greensmith is there in 4th ahead of the 2 Baldwins. James Blake Baldwin, I think, is ahead of Simon Baldwin. Yes, he is, number 4 ahead of number 16. The 2 brothers making their way down towards Island Bend together in this 20-minute encounter to kick off the day's action here at Oulton Park. And it's Johnny Greensmith locking up and a car off wide. That's James Harris. James Harris way wide onto the grass through the gravel and finds a handy little cut through between the tyres to actually rejoin without any damage. Leaders back out of Shell up towards Britain's for the first time of asking though. And well, Luke Herbert, how significant could that start prove to be? Because we know it is not easy to overtake here at Oulton Park. It's a tight circuit, it's narrow, it's undulating. There are places where you can overtake, but it's not that easy, and it's relatively easy to defend a position. Aidan Hills is busy defending, trying to hold on to 3rd place there from Johnny Greensmith behind him. Johnny Greensmith, the Knock Hill race winner, but hasn't had a particularly good time of it through the middle portion of the year. He's still 3rd in the points, but some way back now from the leading 2. On board with Johnny as he makes his way up and over Clay Hill in the slipstream now, trying to find a way past Aidan Hills, who is continuing this remarkable streak of podium finishes every one of the 5 race meetings we've had so far this year. If Harding could win, then he would take 2 points out of Luke Herbert. So regardless of what happens, he's not going to lose the championship lead. He could extend the championship lead if he gets past. Here's the fight for 3rd place. Look how far back they are. They're only just going through Old Hall Corner now. They were 11 seconds behind the leaders at the start of this final lap. And Will Stacey, now where's Johnny Greensmith gone? Johnny Greensmith, I believe, has pulled into the pit lane. So Johnny Greensmith from the top 5 out of the race at the start of the final lap. So that's real drama for one of our front runners. But our top 2, the real front runners, are up at Shell for the final time. And Jack Harding forcing Luke Herbert to defend. There is Johnny Greensmith. He is in the pit lane and out of the race. And that's heartbreaking for Johnny, just as he was having one of his best races for several rounds, really. He won that race, the reverse grid race at Knock Hill earlier on in the season, but has never really been able to replicate that ever since. He's had a couple of podiums here and there, but really Rockingham was a bit of a disastrous weekend. I mean, Castle Combe wasn't much better, with a 5th and a 6th place finish that weekend. And here he is starting this weekend off with a non-finish. That is terrible look for Johnny Greensmith. Leaders, though, are coming back through Knickerbrook Corner again, and Luke Herbert is now just 2 corners away from his 5th race victory of the year. And for Jack Harding, it will be a bit of a disappointing one, because remember, he started on the pole position. He out-qualified Luke Herbert, albeit only by a few tenths of a second, but still, he would have been expecting that he had the pace to win this race. Arguably, he has had the pace to win it, but it was all about the start, and Luke Herbert got off the line better, and now just has to defend into and through the final corner, but Jack Harding goes for it. Oh, the door is slammed in his face, and Luke Herbert I don't think he expected Jack to come from that far behind, and Jack very nearly made it stick, but it's not going to work. Luke Herbert is going to take win number 5 of the season, and that is a really significant win, not just in the points, but psychologically over Jack Harding as well. Jack comes home in second, just 3/10 back, with Aidan Hills back on the podium again, his 6th podium of the year. It's James Blake Baldwin 4th, Will Stacey comes home in 5th, ahead of Gary Townsend, Sam Tatler, Will Stevenson, Colin Bysouth, and Christian White rounding out the top 10. We got 21 of the 24 starters to the finish. Johnny Greensmith, a late non-finisher, Simon Baldwin in the pits as well, and Darren Stapleton pulled off at the side of the road on lap 2.
Luke, you come away first, but Jack still managed to get fastest lap.
I know, you know, Jack showed that he had the true pace on track. So I knew my only chance to win that race was to get him off the line, which thank God I did. You know, I had probably my best start I've ever done. And yeah, it's just managed. It's so easy to defend. You know, just every corner I can control the pace, make it difficult for him to get the run on to the next corner. So. Yeah, so it was a good race, but like I say, if I was going to race anyone, it's going to be Jack, because we've had clean races all year. But yeah, like you say, you got the fastest lap, so we've both got 100 points out of the race, so we're still dead level in the championship.
Brilliant. So obviously the temperatures are starting to heat up a bit. Have you got any more ideas for this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, we went the wrong way actually with tyres. Our tyre pressures came in too low, so we might have to bring them up, which is the opposite of what you do in the heat. So we'll see. You know, try and do a few tweaks, but I think again it's going to have to be my start that will get me the win, if at all. So we'll see.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations, Luke.
Thank you very much.
Race 2 is about to get underway here for Oulton Park, and it's a very unusual circumstance here in the paddock where Luke Herbert won race 1, but Jack Harding managed to get fastest lap. So they're still neck and neck on points. It's unbelievable. I have no idea who's going to take the advantage, but I'm going to hand it over to Andy to run you through all the action.
Thanks, Lyndsay, and plenty of action there will be. Jack Harding back ahead of Luke Herbert on the grid for this one, because this grid based on the 2nd fastest laps from qualifying, with Aidan Hills and Carl Garnett row 2, Blake Baldwin and Gary Townsend on row 3, ahead of Simon Baldwin and Will Stacey on the 4th row. The 5th row for James Harris and Will Stevenson, row 6th James Kell and Colin Bysouth, ahead of Christian White and Sam Tatler, then Nick Dunn and Alec Livesley. Tom Parker and Bradley Kender on the 9th row, Darren Stapleton and George Grant on the 10th, with Nick Rutter and Mark Swarbrick, and Duncan Harris and Johnny Greensmith at the back of the grid. He was originally listed as a non-starter, but I believe that either from the back of the grid or from the pit lane, Johnny is going to start this one with a brand new engine. So, race underway. In race 1, remember, Herbert went into Oulton Park in front of Jack Harding. What will happen in race number 2 is going to be the same again. Luke Herbert, once again, with a storming start from the outside of row 1, gets the race lead, and with Harding wide on the grass, Aidan Hills is challenging him as well on the run down the avenue for the first time, side by side for 2nd place, and Jack Harding can little afford to give away another position here, and he doesn't. He slots back into 2nd place, but how frustrated will Jack Harding be? 2 races, 2 pole positions, and on neither occasion has he led the race down into Old Hall Corner. He's straight back on the attack though. He has no intention of spending the next 20 minutes staring at the rear bumper of Luke Herbert's number 1 machine. He wants the lead, and he wants it now. Aidan Hills there in 3rd position, and Carl Garnett is 4th. Remember that Carl went off early on at Old Hall Corner in race number 1. We never really got to see the best of him, but he's up there in 4th and looking for his first podium of the year. Aidan Hills though is looking for 2nd position here, attacking Jack Harding as they make their way in towards the Britain chicane. Jack had to go really deep on the brakes there. That's compromised his run through the chicane slightly. Jack Harding is now into the final 5 minutes or so of this race. He is running out of time and he's running out of opportunities. He still holds that fastest lap though, so in theory, if things finish as they are now, they'll still be tied on championship points, but Jack Harding might have got to the inside line this time, down towards Island Bend, and I think Jack Harding might be about to go through. Luke Herbert will bravely try and hang on around the outside, but he can't do it, and Harding goes through. So Jack Harding finally, after over a race and a half of trying, has found a way through the defences of Luke Herbert, and he's got the race lead away. Fantastic racing though between the 2 of them, and that was a really important move, because now if we threw the checkered flag, Jack Harding would have the championship lead, and he would have the championship lead by 4 points. It's not over yet though. Jack Harding now has Luke Herbert back alongside. Luke is coming back at him. He's got his nose back in front down towards the Hislop chicane, but Jack Harding surely will be late on the brakes. They're both late on the brakes though. Luke Herbert locking up the left-hand side brake. Jack Harding's lost his passenger side wing mirror. Now that could come into play later on, because in theory, if Luke Herbert goes down the left-hand side, Jack won't necessarily know he's there. That could be interesting, and that's something that someone of Luke's experience will be be very, very keen to try and take advantage of. And look, he places himself to the left-hand side now, up towards Druid. Jack won't be entirely sure where he is. But Luke Herbert doesn't really want to take the risk of going right round the outside. Instead, cuts back to the late apex, tries to get up the inside towards Lodge. He can't do it. And Jack Harding it is, who is hanging on by the skin of his teeth here to the race lead. Herbert has his nose in front into Lodge. What about the switchback manoeuvre here? Harding will surely slow down on the apex. There's a chink of an opening. There's a bit of a rub. There's a bit of a touch. Herbert on the grass. And that loses him traction, loses him momentum over the hill. Across the start-finish line they go again. What a race this has been. But Jack Harding, as I predicted might be the case, now he's in front. He is the one punching the hole in the air, and Luke Herbert is the man benefiting from the slipstream. So I don't think that Jack Harding is going to be able to escape here. Luke Herbert's going to be right on his rear bumper, right the way down to the checkered flag. And if there is, again now, role reversal, if there's a chink of an opening for Luke Herbert to go through, he will take the opportunity. And Jack Harding possibly giving him the opportunity immediately. He got sideways through Cascades and ran wide. But I actually think that Luke Herbert backed off then so as to avoid running flat out into the dust cloud and possibly making contact with the race leader. So back through Island Bend they go, both of them on the limit of a diesel as they try and carry as much speed as possible through the corner, sacrificing the entry to Shell. They go in there on a really tight line so as to be able to take as much speed through Island as possible. Because it's a banked hairpin, the banking catches you and you're able to carry a bit more speed through there than you would imagine you can. It takes a bit of a while for the drivers to get their head around that particular part of the circuit, but these two certainly have, and they are putting on a sensational show here at Oulton Park. It is difficult to overtake here, but that means that when you do make an overtake, and try to get those points back in race 3 if at all possible. Down towards Lodge Corner they will go. And Jack Harding is looking good for the race victory. He heads out of the final turn. Luke Herbert throws everything at the last corner. He'll be in the slipstream towards the checkered flag, but he's just not quite going to get there. The checkered flag flies, the race win goes to Jack Harding, and the championship lead with it. A fantastic drive, he takes the victory. Luke Herbert in second, Aidan Hills is third, back on the podium again. Carl Garnett fourth, and James Blake Baldwin fifth, ahead of Simon Baldwin, James Harris, Colin Bysouth in eighth position, then Sam Tatler and Will Stacey rounding out the top 10. We had two non-finishers in that race, Duncan Harris and Darren Stapleton, but a phenomenal race up front and a deserved victory and the championship lead for Jack Harding.
Jack, that was a whirlwind of a race there, but does this now mean you were running away with the championship?
Not at all. Yeah, it's so close. I mean, I might be a few points ahead, but I can guarantee it'll go back down and go back up, you know, over the next couple of meetings. It's just so close. It's absolute nightmare, but it's brilliant racing, but it just makes it so difficult to overtake. Once again, I naffed the start and then, yeah, spent most of the first half of the race looking at the back of Luke and trying different things, but eventually, yeah, managed to come through.
Must be fun out there, though, racing with Luke.
I wouldn't call it fun, to be honest. It's yeah, when it's that close, it's kind of a bit of a nightmare. So, but no, it is brilliant. AK have done a fantastic job on the car. I let him down a bit in the first race by finishing second, so it's nice to repay him now. And you know, my sponsor Yorkshire Trade Windows.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations. We'll see you in the final race.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Third and final race here for the Super Cups at Oulton Park. We've got Jack Harding and Luke Herbert battling it out, but they're all the way down in P5 and 6. We do have the championship contender here, Jack Harding. Jack, what's your thoughts going into this race?
Stay out of trouble, stay near Luke, you know, worst case scenario, if I finish just behind him, that's, you know, still not bad on the points. I'm not going to try anything too risky, but yeah, it's going to be interesting trying to get through these lot, especially with Baldwin's on the front row.
Yeah, that's going to cause a bit of a hassle, I think.
Yeah, it is, but we'll do our best. If we can come through, it'd be nice to be on podium again.
Well, this is going to be quite the race, I think. Simon and James Blake Baldwin sharing the front row together, ahead of Carl Garnett and Aidan Hills. Luke Herbert and Jack Harding, 4 points apart in the title, and they start on the third row together, ahead of James Harris and Colin Bysouth. Then it's Sam Tatler and Will Stacey, Nick Dunn and Christian White. Johnny Greensmith from the pit lane to 13th in race 1. A real standout performance. The 24-car grid about to do battle around the Oulton Park International circuit for the full 20 minutes this time. We made good time as the day has gone on, and we should get the full race in this time. So the lights go out, away we go. James Blake Baldwin from the outside of row number 1 will take the lead down towards turn number 1. We're on board with Luke Herbert there, who's trying to find a gap on the inside of Carl Garnett. It doesn't quite work. Oh, there's contact there for Jack Harding and Colin Bysouth, and Harding ends up out on the grass. Now, that's not good news for the championship leader, the new championship leader. He's still on the grass going down the avenue as well. He's all out of shape. Oh, Jack Harding! Jack Harding off on the grass. Where's he going to be joining the track? Right in the middle of the pack. Cars scatter everywhere, and that could have been a huge drama for Jack Harding. It's not been a great start to the race. Look at this, he's mired in the midfield now. Cars to the left, cars to the right. He's fighting for position, and Jack Harding in all sorts of trouble, will lose 2 more places. He's back with Johnny Greensmith all of a sudden. Johnny Greensmith on the grass though. Jack Harding, having none of that, gets his place in line, but for the championship leader, that was the worst start possible. He got into a bit of fisticuffs with Colin Bysouth going into the first corner, and then for some reason found himself edged onto the grass going down the avenue, and it all kicked off from there. So Jack Harding in big trouble, and there are now several cars between himself and this man, his championship rival Luke Herbert, who is attacking Carl Garnett for 4th position going over the hill. Down towards the braking zone they go. Aidan Hills goes second, look ahead of Simon Baldwin as he goes in pursuit of James Blake Baldwin, but Luke Herbert in 5th position, so he has held position because it was a top 6 grid reversal. In theory, that was really the best possible outcome for the grid reversal for Jack Harding and Luke Herbert, because they didn't lose that many positions. They weren't stuck right in the midfield, but for Jack Harding, he well and truly is stuck in the midfield as they come up through Druids for the first time. Aidan Hills then into 2nd place, Simon Baldwin in 3rd position. But what progress can Luke Herbert make here? He needs to try and get as many cars between himself and Jack Harding as possible. Down towards Lodge they go, and you can see Herbert there in 5th. I reckon 9th position for Jack Harding, so there are 4 cars between them, but Jack will immediately be on the case trying to get some of those places back. I don't think in any of that he had any significant contact. There shouldn't be any damage to the car, so he should still be able to make ground. Luke Herbert, though, also making ground, goes inside of Carl Garnett and takes 4th place away, or does he? Carl tries to fight back on the exit of the corner, was always going to get shown the edge of the road, as indeed is the case, and so through goes Luke Herbert. Now that's another car between himself and his championship rival. This championship continuing to ebb and flow, but Jack Harding going around the outside of 2 cars at Cascades, finds a way past Will Stacey and Sam Tatler. 2 positions gained in 1 there for Jack Harding. Great driving. He is a man on a mission. The red mist fully descended now for the championship leader as he tries to get back on terms with his big title rival. He's going around the outside of James Harris now as well. 3 positions gained in 2 corners, and all of them on the outside line, and they are 2 of the most daunting corners in British motorsport. Phenomenal driving this from Jack Harding. Herbert at the moment is having a go at getting past Aidan Hills for the race lead. He pulls to the outside line, down towards Old Hall Corner. This is a risk that he doesn't really want to be taking, but what other choice does he have? He tries to go right around the outside of Aidan Hills, who puts him on the grass. Contact between the teammates, and Jack Harding is there in a flash. He takes advantage and moves into 2nd place, and Jack Harding, you never would have thought this would be the case at the start of the race, but he's back ahead of his championship rival. Jack Harding in 2nd place, Luke Herbert down to 3rd, and he will not be happy with that. Aidan Hills was having none of that. Luke Herbert tried the outside manoeuvre into Old Hall Corner. He knew it was fraught with risk. If Aidan Hills didn't leave him room on the exit, he was always likely to end up on the grass, and that is exactly what happened. So, back down into Shell in what has arguably been the race of the season so far, if nothing else, just because of the championship implications here in this titanic fight between Jack Harding and Luke Herbert, and somehow through it all, it is Jack Harding who at the moment is standing on top, set to extend his or at least hold the championship lead, because at the moment they would score exactly the same amount of points as a result of Luke Herbert's fastest lap points. But if Jack Harding can win the race and get a car between himself and Luke Herbert, then he would further extend this very slender championship lead. So, deep breath everyone, we're still only about 3/4 of the way through this race, and I'm already struggling for breath. There's Johnny Greensmith, who's just ahead of Sam Tatler, just behind James Harris. So this means this is, by my reckoning, about a 9-car fight for the race lead. Right at the front of it is where the real pinch point is, with Jack Harding and Luke Herbert inches apart, as has been the case on so many occasions this season. Around of Druids they go, back down towards Lodge Corner, and Jack Harding, now you see, he daren't go to the outside into Lodge because he knows that Luke Herbert will be straight up the inside like a rat up a drain pipe, and so just sort of has to follow Aiden Hills into the corner in the middle of the road and then just try and get the run out of the corner, which he almost does. But again, he's only being shown the outside line down towards Old Hall Corner, and Luke Herbert is closing in on him as well. They're almost pushing each other down the pit straight, but Jack Harding just about hanging on, and James Blake Baldwin making a nuisance of himself as well. And well, Lyndsay said that James Blake Baldwin being involved in this race might cause a spot of bother. He certainly is for Luke Herbert, because he would very much rather it wasn't James Blake Baldwin behind him. Nothing against James Blake Baldwin, but all of the drivers know that he is not backwards in coming forwards. If he sees a chance to gain a place, he doesn't care one bit whether they're championship contenders. He'll go for the gap and he'll try and make the move stick, and Luke Herbert will know that he's going up against one of the most committed racers out on the circuit, and he really can't afford to have any sort of contact that could put him off the road, because of course Luke has already had a few not brilliant results. Here they go, 2 more corners to go to decide the outcome of race number 3 of the day here at Oulton Park, and who will lead the championship going into the penultimate race meeting at Croft next time out. And it's between these two drivers, 2nd and 3rd on the road, Jack Harding and Luke Herbert, and Luke almost got up the inside then down towards Lodge Corner. 1 more turn to go, and I think that Aiden Hills is home clear. It's all about the fight for 2nd place. Who will lead the championship with 6 more races to go? I think it's going to be Jack Harding who will come home in 2nd place, but Aiden Hills is going to win his first ever race in the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup, and what a way to do it. A fantastic performance from Aiden Hills, who fended off all comers to win the race. Jack Harding is 2nd and will take a 4-point lead into the next round ahead of Luke Herbert, who was 3rd. James Blake Baldwin is 4th, and Simon Baldwin rounds out the top 5. Also in that lead group there were Carl Garnett, Johnny Greensmith, James Harris and Sam Tatler, and they all put on a sensational show. 2 non-starters, Duncan Harris and Darren Stapleton, but remarkably all 22 drivers who started the race got to the end of what was undoubtedly the race of the season.
Well, I'm going to get the cheap shot.
Aiden, I really don't know what more to say than a huge congratulations on your first ever win.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say either, to be honest. It's just this weekend we haven't had enough pace. You know, we've been fast at other places where I deserve to win, and this weekend, to be honest, that other than the moves I did to get into the lead in that race, like I didn't have the pace at all. You know, I had Jack and Luke all behind me, just on my back bumper all race, and I just white lined it. I just defended for my life really, and I knew that was my best chance to win a race. And just as long as I made no mistakes, it's going to be a win.
Jack, that was really tough out there. You had everyone jumping in the grandstands.
Yeah, it was. Didn't go to plan. All day it's not gone to plan, but you know it ended up being all right. But we went steaming over the grass at turn 2, and God knows what position I was in, 8th or something like that. And then just came storming back through, and I don't know, I thought I'd be behind Luke, but no, I ended up getting past him, and then I was behind Aiden. Aiden did really well. He just defended, put his car where he needed to do, and I was quite happy settling for 2nd, to be honest, with Luke behind me.
Well, that is it for an eventful weekend, to say the least, here at Oulton Park for the Super Cup. We've had Aiden walk away with his first ever podium, and Jack Harding's managed to stretch a little bit of a lead away from Luke Herbert. So you'll have to come back next time for Croft.